Wanna go from this to this? Want to know your own art style as an artist, your artistic identity? How to get better in drawing? Reach me out on the links below. I'm picking only 5 applicants for free to help them for a month, to help you reach your own dreams, to get you onto the right path toward your goal, being an artist, being an illustrator, being a concept artist, being a colorist or a letterer. Help you be a full-time artist. We all have these questions about how to get better in drawing. Getting better into drawing with pencils, with digitals, illustration, how to draw a comic page. Comic page, manga page is always a struggle to many of us. But together we will make it fun, so you can start making your own dreams come true. How to have a storytelling ability. Inking art styles. Color basics, cell shade, cuts, digital painting. Together we'll know how. Gesture is one of the most important trainings, workouts, practice any artist must do. Together we are going to draw. We also hear from the pros and have advice, professional advice from the ones in the industry, masters of the industry too, character design, concept art, digital painting, comics, mangas. Listen to the experience of other creators, other artists, other writers from all over the globe. Reach me out on the links below. So I'm picking only 5 applicants, so we can make it easier on you and on your dreams. Have fun. This is Andrew Henry. I left my desk job to be a full-time artist. I'm willing to help you reach your goals. Hello again! Welcome to our live workshop, CMW Comics Manga Webcomics Workshop. Hello everyone, thanks you for so much for joining and coming to our workshop. How to work fast, how to be better inker, design characters, world building, character development, getting your manga on webtoon format, getting better as an artist, and overcoming your artistic problems. I'm your host, Andrew Henry. Let's have a quick view on the rules before we head to and pass the mic to Tim. This session is about 60 minutes long. Feel free to post your questions in the chat area. We may not be able to answer all questions. Respect all the instructors during the sessions. Please be kind and respectful. No hate speech, harassment. All sessions will be uploaded and edited on YouTube later. We must mention our group on Facebook, Artists, Jobs and Showcase. It's a group dedicated for artists, creators and writers to help featuring them their showcase, company owners, indie industry creators, a place to offer and seek commissions for creators, artists, buy and sell custom comic art, besides making online videos with tips and tricks to help our community be more productive. We must also mention our sponsors who may not be able to create and have this workshop without their efforts. Couple Comics, Zen Studios, King Midas Media and Entertainment, Zero G Podcast for live tabletop games, and digitizers for gadgets, graphic tablets, digital solutions. We also do have a contest running that would end at 15th of this month that have 3 major headers as a guidelines. Your hero protagonist have a hard time. Hero protagonist tries resolving the problem. Bigger problem appears. Simple rules. Applicant must sign the workshop form. So I assume you already filled it. Black and white. 10 panels minimum. 2 comic pages minimum. Best action sequences. Any ideas or characters? No nudity. We got 3 prizes, 3 awards. First one is the award XP Pen Deco V2 exclusive to Egypt. $200 cash prize from Zenith Studios and King Midas Media and Entertainment everywhere but Egypt. Clip Studio Paint EX. 2 licenses, 6 months, valid for a device of your choice, anywhere at the world. Send your entry, personal info, and address to the email below, couplecomics.ent@gmail.com. For our instructor for the workshop session, Tim Goernert. We are so happy to have Tim with us today. He's a professional at inking and have his own visions while doing ink art. He's a part-time inker, co-owner, operator at MontrealPrinting.com, and a co-founder at RPM Studios. So we are so glad to have Tim with us. As I am passing the mic to you, Tim.
Hold on. Hold on.
How are you, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm just trying to get. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties, but I'm just trying to get the visual because the way my tablet's set up, I don't have a camera, so I'm trying to use my iPhone, but it won't accept the browser. So I'm just trying to do it through so I can get a visual here. But I'm doing very good. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Andrew, for having me. This is going to be
so honored,
it's a lot of fun. I'm just trying to figure out why
We
This.
can use a share screen. You can use a share screen on
How
your
do I?
graphic tablet.
Oh, really? Okay. How do I do that? That's interesting. You just
Share
won't see my
screen is
face. So share
no
screen.
down
Uh,
below.
there we go. Select Windows screen. There we go. Entire screen. Haha. Look at this. Can you
Should
guys
be
see
appearing
this?
right now.
Can you see this?
Still, yeah. No, not yet.
Hold on.
Okay.
How about now? Oh, you can see it. You did see it, eh? Do you see it?
No.
Oh no. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. I'm gonna allow it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see it now.
Are we good to go? Is this it?
Yeah, of course. Now I pass the mic to you. Feel
Okay, yeah,
free to
sure.
wreak havoc.
All right. So just you know what, Andrew, are you going to be in with us the whole time while we're here? Because I won't be able to see the questions coming up.
Yeah, I will hold the questions until you finish your session, so I
Okay.
can ask them to you.
Okay, great. So okay, let's just get right into it, guys. So right now, what I want to do as an inker, it's always important. Obviously, you're going to adapt certain styles. Obviously, you want to put a little bit of your style into what you're doing. But ultimately, you gotta respect the penciler's lines. So what I'm doing today is I took 3 different pencilers, all with unique design skills, all with their unique their look, their style. And some were simpler, some are a little more detailed, and some are hyper detailed. And so, as an inker, you have to be able to make decisions and choices with line weights, with light and shadow. How you're going to interpret those pencils, because sometimes they're not always accurate. Sometimes you get breakdowns. Sometimes you get some really detailed stuff that makes your life as an inker really easy. And then other times you're going to get stuff that you're going to have to make a lot of decisions how you want to interpret those lines to get the best and the best ultimate look. So we're going to get started. We're going to get right into this. Um, we're going to start with Andrew Henry, our main host. I found one of his pencils and I thought it would be a really fun idea to try to ink his style. I've never inked his stuff before. I'm very excited to get into this. So I'm just going to create a new layer. Now, usually most of the time when you receive pencils, they're going to be in high resolution. The ones I just found recently, I pulled these off of Google or off of DeviantArt or off of Pinterest. These are things if you want to be an up-and-coming inker or a penciler, if you want to get ideas. There's so much wealth of information out there now, and the only way you're going to get better is just practicing every day. Whether it's 5 minutes a day, whether it's 10 minutes a day, or half an hour, so long as you do it every day, it's like an exercise, and I promise you, you will get better and better and better. So I usually start off with the same kind of, I'm very comfortable with the kind of pen that I use. I like to get into I like to get in close. I always like to start with the eyes or the nose or something, just because it just makes me feel, puts me in a happy place. So let's get in there right now. So the cool thing with inking, just to give you a quick rundown, you can go a real thick line like this, but thankfully I'm inking in digital, so I could just do that and then get in there like this, and then it's a bigger line there, and depending on the pressure of your pen, you can decide the line weights that you're playing with. You know what I mean? Look, see here, it looks kind of dark. Andrew, what are you doing to me? What is this? I'm just kidding. And depending on how, like, even as a classical inker, you're going to be moving your paper around a lot too. But same thing kind of applies when you're doing this in the digital media too. There we go. That's looking good. More details in there. Andrew, can you see this properly? Is it coming in okay? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. Actually, I'm so happy that
You're freaking me out. What's going on? It's like it's so dead quiet because I don't hear it. It's like I'm talking to
I
myself.
went quiet because I disabled my audio to give
Oh,
to
did
give
you?
you.
I'm like, this is what crazy people sound like. So you can see all the lines coming together. Here we go.
Yeah.
Huh, 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 huh. Look at that. Feels good. We get in here. I get the mouth. Can fill that in. And then when I get back here, move this around. So a little bit of texture in there too. Back to the mouth. And we'll see what that looks like. And just, you know, a lot of times too, right? If it's like people or trees or something organic, you can get away with a lot. You don't have to be like perfectly. You can go a little bit up or down to give it a little more texture and it'll be okay. So don't be like, oh no, like, oh, I went like that. It's not going to make that big of a difference. But you obviously want to try to stay as true as possible to the shapes, but it's okay to be a little organic with it and have fun with it, There we go. And then, and then let's go in here. A little bit of texture in there too. See, I'm just doing little thin lines to add a little bit of depth. So when you zoom out, and we'll see what that looks like. It's looking pretty good. This guy's a pretty good penciler, I have to say. It's not bad. He's got moves. Look at this guy. And because these are glasses, I want to try to be as straight as possible. Build up some texture in there. Same thing in here. Oop. See what this looks like. And then got all this fun texture in here to work with. Lines. I mean, you can even add a little bit of cross hatching too. Put a little bit of a spin on your. Also depends on the type of style that you're inking too. I mean, Andrew's stuff that he's currently working on is I want to say manga.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't want to insult anybody. It's anime. Don't say that, So you got to be very careful with that, and that has I would even say has some rules you kind of have to follow as an artist because you want to keep that look, that specific look of that genre. Excuse me. And then so that those are things you have to take into consideration too, because I think they have big eyes, that sort of thing. So then,
Well, Tim, we got our first question here.
Oh boy.
Asking, what program are you using?
Am I supposed to say? I don't know.
Yeah, you are supposed to say.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, right now I'm using Photoshop CS6. But there's so many other programs. You can get student editions depending on what point you are in your life, kind of thing. You can get student versions. There's Clip Art Studio, which is an amazing program, and they have a lot of specials going on all the time. You should always check their website to see what's going on. They got a wicked brush selection. It depends on what you want to do, right? And the frequency of it and how much you want to take it to the next level. Even if you want to go digital, because people still ink traditionally. I just like to do this because I feel it's faster and it helps my workflow. Because at the end of the day, in the beginning, if you're doing, not everyone's going to work for Marvel or DC or Image or the big 3-5 top ones. They're going to work for a lot of indie developers. And quite honestly, the page rate isn't the same. So you got to ask yourself, how often do you, how many hours do you want to work on a page, right? Because if you're working on a page for like 8 hours and you're only getting like a $50 page rate, right? You're making what, like $5 an hour or something, So yeah. And so if you're doing traditional versus digital, you have to consider those things, Like how much is your time worth to you in the beginning? If you're getting paid to draw, whether it's $10 or $20, that's a win. You're getting paid to draw, doing something that you love. And if you keep doing it long enough, the money's going to come and you're only going to get better and better and better. And your page rate's going to go up. So, think of it like paying you more or less, and it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But that's what you have to ask yourself, like, what do you want to do? So back to the original question, I'm using Photoshop and I'm using a Huon tablet. It's about 24 inches. There's smaller ones, bigger ones. I actually got this as a secondhand one a few years ago, and it was like one of the best purchases I ever made because I got it for I think I paid like $300 for it, and I've been using it religiously daily, and I love it. And I would get, if I would, like next time, I'd probably buy myself a brand new one just because of the amount of time I use it. But if you're coming into it and you're looking for it, go on those Facebook marketplaces or in your area. Look at because I'm from Canada and there's a place called Kijiji or Craigslist, and you can find secondhand equipment. And a lot of times it's good because a lot of times these guys are artists that have moved on to bigger monitors, and they have these ones that are still working fine. And you might be able to pick yourself a really good deal up and save yourself some money. I recommend getting a bigger screen just because it's just nicer to have a big screen so you can have your tools available to you. You can zoom in, zoom out. On a smaller screen, you might have a little more. If that's all you can afford, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just telling you from my personal experience. I think a bigger screen might be more beneficial, but it also depends on your budget, right? So, and then you work up to it, kind of thing, And if you do make money doing it, if you have to pay the bills, that's one thing. But if you're still living at home with your parents or you have several roommates, ultimately, if this is what you're going to be doing all the time, invest in some good equipment. It's the same thing. If you're a traditional artist, you're gonna get yourself a ton of paper stock. You're gonna get a ton, and you're gonna go through a lot of paper. Inks. You want good quality inks. You want good quality. So many different things. So here I have to make a decision here. So it's kind of blacked out, but I think I want to build some texture with it. Instead of going solid, I kind of built like a layer with the lines. Now here I'll probably go darker. Andrew, what time is it where you are?
For me, it's
like late at
12 p.m. here.
So it's the afternoon, but like tomorrow.
Yeah.
No? But like tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's
we got another question asking what type of brushes or inks are you using? Do you create your own custom brushes?
Yes, I have a custom brush right here. I don't know if you can see it. Actually, you know what? I'll blow it. I'll zoom. I'll make it bigger for you. This is what it looks like. So let me just create another page, new, and I'll show you that right now. So always work in high resolution. So I would go, actually, if you can see this, you go into 400. That should be your minimum, basically, especially for printing. If you want to print, you have to have high resolution. So I'm just make a quick file here, 10 by 8. Okay, so there's the brush. So I think if you zoom in, you can see it pretty much. And then there's like some tools here, right there. I could turn it the way it looks. I can go, whoop, see how it goes like that, and then whoop,
yeah,
and then I can go. It tapers off. Kind of cool, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and then you can make it even smaller. I can change the rotation of it like this, and
looks like a Sharpie pen.
Almost, right? Almost, but you can get so many fine details with it. And that's what I use. It's a custom brush. If you want, I'm happy to upload it for people if they want to use it, but it's only good for, I could even do a tutorial down the road for Andrew's channel on how to make a custom brush. In fact, I got it off. I Googled it and I just designed my own based on what the guy taught me. But I'm happy to do one for Andrew on his site there and show you how I made a custom brush for myself. You know,
That would be a great honor for me, actually.
yes, I would. I'm happy to do that, and then just get into some wicked details, and you can go bigger if you want, smaller, and it's the same brush. It's all the same brush, but you can, depending on the pressure. But look at that; it's nice, clean lines, and because it's high resolution, you're gonna get these beautiful little things. Hope that answers your question. Go.
We got a question from Gary. Gary Giroux asking.
Oh, I know that guy, Gary. What's up, brother? How's it going? I'm loving your post, by the way, brother. Keep it up, man. I like to support what you're doing for the community, man. He's doing great things. What's his question?
Okay, his question is, I'm a traditional, so this is a new concept for me. Did you find it easy to transfer?
You know what? It's so funny he says that because I only started inking like digitally about 3 years ago, I think. Maybe it was just before the pandemic. I started taking it really seriously. Before then, I had taken a break from drawing since I was a kid. And I always kind of drew a little bit, but I did digital paintings. I was inking with rapidographs, but this was honestly like 20 years ago. And if you want, I'll take some pictures of my old stuff that I did from like 20 years ago. Okay. And then it was only after I started watching Todd McFarlane's videos where he was talking about digital inking. And I'm like, I can get on board with that. And I just jumped in and did it. I just went and I bought myself a cheap tablet, like I did right here, like a secondhand one. And then I just started teaching myself with the stuff. And just, again, you just got to keep doing it every day. You know what? If you're an artist, okay, you're an artist no matter what. Whether you're a penciler, or inker, or colorist, you're going to be better at some things or the other because that's just the thing that you've been more proficient at, right? But like an artist, it's just a tool. It's just another medium. You know, and once you understand, and I think the biggest challenge is the navigation with a software, because not everyone's used to software. A lot of people, like Gary and I are very close in age, I think. So it's like when we get introduced to something new, we're like, oh no, it's like a taboo. It's like, oh shit, I got to learn this. I don't know. You know, it's like how much time. It's like sometimes you feel like you're starting over, right? But you're not. If there's a couple tricks. Actually, we've had conversations where we're supposed to get together, and I was going to do a couple of demos with him online just to show him all the tricks that I know and what you could do. And like I'm basically using one pen. Like if you think about it, right, you have to understand layers, which is over here, okay, because you want to have your base layer, your frame layer, and you just add layers, and then there's your brush. And then it's always set to black, and your black is always, that's your black that you're using. Or you can go 100% black if you want, doesn't matter. But that's the default setting for black. And then that's it, you know? And then thankfully there's undo, because if I go, oh shit, oh no, what have I done? I spilled the ink. But it's a digital ink spill. I just go to undo, problem solved. You know, no one gets hurt, you know? So Control Z. So if you think about it, even if you don't have to be a Photoshop expert. I mean, fortunately, I've been using Photoshop for the last 25 years because I'm also a trained illustrator and graphic designer. So for me, this is like, you know, it's not a big deal, you know. I use it daily. I use it every day as my professional job. So I'm familiar with the navigation, but I've tried other programs. Like I think there's GIMP out there. There's some free software out there that's really good. But like I said, as an inker, you don't need much. You know, you just need basically your layers, black ink, you know, and then at the same time, if you can, I think a lot of the programs will allow you. See what I'm doing here? I'm filling it in just a little bit, and then I'll just take my black fill, and that's it. I'm not using anything magical or special to do all this, you know. And then when I watched Todd McFarlane's demos, what he was doing, I'm like, I want to do that. I don't want to do traditional, because at that point in my life, it's like, how much time do I want to spend on this stuff? You know, like I love it as a hobby and I want to make money doing it, but I also don't want to spend like countless hours and not get any reward for it. So I find this much quicker, and you're getting the same result, I think, because most people, I mean, a lot of times when I post stuff, people don't even know the difference. They ask me, "Is this digital or is this is this digital or is this classical or classic or pen and ink?" I'm like, "It's digital." And they're like, "Wow, you know." So what does that tell you? You know. Hope that answers your
I got
question,
this
Gary.
question. I got this question a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Someone told me just that the traditional inking is dying and the inking is not as good as before. I told them digital inks are not are not treated like just tracing the pencils or just
No, it's the same process. It's just this. It's the same process. I
exactly.
just feel it's quicker, and there's room for error because if you do mess up a line, because I mean I've watched some inkers. I've been doing this for a long time. I've watched their videos, and they're like meticulous, and it's like I see how they do the lines, and it's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. I mean traditional. I don't. I think some people are doing it, but I think it comes down to time, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
and you have to get new pens. You have to update it. Like I've been using the same pen and tablet. I mean, you can't see it, but my thing's all taped up and everything, and I've I've changed the battery on this thing, but that's all I've invested it in, right? I don't have to buy more paper stock. I don't have to buy liquid paper, more pens, more inks, Indian inks. There's all this barrage of stuff, right? So that's how I look at it. And now you also notice here, I'm also turning the page around all the time because like sometimes, when, especially some inkers, they just prefer certain angles. And then, but I wouldn't even. I don't know if I don't think. I think traditional will still be around because I think there's going to be always some purists. But I think the younger people coming into it now, it's a different landscape. Um, just because you can get some really cool results, and you can also experiment a lot. Because I'm still, even though I'm digitally inking, I'm still approaching it the same way as a classical inker, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. You know, so that's something to consider as well. We're almost done this piece. Look at this. Holy shit. Oh, am I allowed to swear? I don't know.
Oh, hope you don't hate me after this.
Not at all. What do you think? Hope you don't hate me. So what I do is I
Make
create
it.
another layer, and then I add the
It's
white
still
layer, and
alive.
then boom. I mean, it's coming along nicely, no? Look at this.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
amazing.
think I'm gonna see now. I'm looking at it from here. I think I want to work these lines. So I'm not happy with those lines because they don't feel uniform enough. You know, you can go in there and fill these. Oops. You go in there and you fill in some of these other black. Oops. Did it again. See? Undo. And a lot of times too now, a lot of the top guys, um, like even Wills Portasio, he does rough breakdowns and he inks his own stuff. A lot of pencilers now are inking their own work. Even Jason Fabach, he or Fabach, he inks his own stuff. He just does loose backgrounds or loose breakdowns, and then he'll go in and I'm gonna redo this part here. I don't like it. See, I just grab all that and then I delete it. Huh, look at that. See, if I was traditional inking, I wouldn't have never happened. I would have like, oh, guess what? Would have kept it all. All right, let's try this again. So now, let's get out of there. Let's try this again. I'll get back to you after. Start down here, and then see that's like see it feels like a solid. I'm gonna fill this in. There we go. Just text. Okay, where am I here?
There's an amazing quote. You always keep writing it with every inking masterpiece you post
What's that?
on social media.
What's that?
Amazing quote.
Oh yeah, I'm always practicing. I'm
Yeah,
always
it's very
practicing
encouraging. It's very
because
encouraging,
the way
actually.
I looked at it is this, it's the same thing for anything you do in life. Um, and where I got that from was because I used to do powerlifting and train a lot at the gym. I used to do like heavy weights, and I remember I went to one of these talks, and it was one of the strongman was there, Brian Shaw, I think his name is, and he's like he was the heavy, he was what do you call it, the world strongman for a couple of years in a row from the States, big giant guy. And one of the questions was asked was, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay motivated? That was the question. And he said, screw motivation. Motivation. And right now I'm applying this to drawing because people are like, oh, I'm not motivated. I don't feel like doing it today. And he said, screw motivation because it's just another excuse. So he goes, listen, you're going to go to the gym some days and you're going to have like a 10-minute workout or a 20-minute workout. And some gym days when you go to the gym, you're going to work out. It's going to be the worst workout you ever had in your entire life. And then there's other days where you're going to work out and it's going to be the best workout you ever had in your entire life. And then there's another time you're going to go and it's like you didn't want to go, but you went anyways. And it turns out to be was the best workout you ever had in your entire life. So basically, whether you work 5 minutes or 10 minutes, so long as you're doing it, so long as you're there and you do it. And so the same thing applies to drawing, whether it's a 5-minute sketch or say you're doing an eyeball because you don't feel like it, but you just get in the habit of doing it every day, you're going to get better. And by practicing every day, because I mean, even if you ever seen Jim Lee's early stuff, everyone started somewhere. And same thing with Tom McFarlane. I have one of his books there, and we see his old stuff he was drawing when he was 14. Even the first books that he had back then, it was like it wasn't that good. It wasn't that strong. How did this guy get into the business? But you break in, right? Oops, what did I do here? You know what I mean? So that's why I use the mantra, I'm always practicing, because whether it's 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, and then sometimes I've done sessions where I went 4 hours straight, 6 hours straight, and I didn't even realize the time was going by. And I was you fall in love with it, right? You're like, okay. And then you start to see what's happening. And by doing that, you're building a discipline. It's like brushing your teeth every day. You don't think about it. You just do it because you have to do it. And it's the same thing applies to illustration, whether you're penciling, whether you're coloring, whether you're a letterer. You just practice a little bit every day. And some days will be longer than others. Some days will be better. But so long as you keep the habit of doing it and the discipline to do it, like screw the motivation, trust the discipline. And that's why I'm saying I'm always practicing, because I'm always doing a little bit. Whether sometimes I'm watching a TV show or I'm doing some work, I'm like, no, I got to get my drawing in. I got to get it in. That's the only way you're going to get better. You can't do it. Something you can't do like once a week, or you can do it once a week, but how much better do you want to be? You know what I mean? And the sky's the limit after that. Let's try this again.
Exactly. Well, we got another
question.
No, it's a comment actually from Russia. She is a creator, a mangaka too. She is an instructor with us.
Excellent. Hello.
Workshop. She is telling us, sometimes when I do traditional inking, despite my hands and my clothes are getting dirty, but there is something magical on it.
Yes, I agree. I mean, there is, because there's that sound of the paper on the scratch of it. It's like when you open an old comic book, and you smell it. You know what I mean? There's something classical and old about it, and people can relate to it on some level, or brings you back to some sort of memory. And the same can go for when you're doing something traditionally. I mean, I used to airbrush, and that was a freaking mess, but I liked it because, I used to do traditional painting. I can even post some of my paintings I've done, and done in acrylics. It's old school, and there was something very good about it, but I could do the same thing now digitally, and it'll look just as good. But I mean, I can even put a texture on it and make it look like it's a painting. I mean, even when I was going to art school, I was in illustration, and they teach you how to be quick because it all comes down to money and time. Because a lot of times, you have to meet a deadline, right? So, as much as I would love to take my time on a piece and get this best effect or feel nostalgic about the medium, I got to get paid. My client's got a deadline. So what am I going to do to speed that up? I use techniques that I use to speed things up. So if you don't have the luxury, I mean, doesn't mean you can't do it, but if you don't have the luxury of time to invest in something traditional, that's something you have to consider. And it's not a bad way of thinking about it, but you also have to think, if this is my livelihood, if I'm making money on this, how do I want to proceed with the project? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking good here. Almost done, Andrew. Look at this. Now I'm assuming these lines here were to base your character sublines there, I think. Okay, this part's gonna be fun. Go here. All right, let's do a little more texture in here. I mean, I remember when I used to ink back in the day, I had repeatographs, and those were fun, man, because you can get different thicknesses and stuff. But I never used a pen and brush though. I was told I should learn on it, but I was stubborn at the time. Okay, so let's see what this bad boy looks like. Bum, 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 bum.
Wow.
Dun-na-na. Dun-na-na.
Wow.
Did I do it justice? See, I want to work.
It's amazing.
I want to work some spots here. Hold on. I think we could do that here, just to give it a little more texture.
You made it so alive.
There we go. And with some good coloring, see, I want to fix this here because this was part of the. I'm gonna take my eraser. Go.
That's awesome work, Tim.
That. I'll build a little bit more texture in here. There we go. Yeah, that feels good. Maybe a little bit. There we go. There, one down. And that's how I interpret Andrew's wonderful pencils.
Thanks, man.
All right, so that was so yeah, there's that. Next, we're gonna go into something crazy. Actually, what do you think? Should we go really easy on this one, or should we go to the difficult? You know what? Let's do the I shouldn't say easy, but the more simpler lines. And this is Mike. These are Mike Mignola's infamous character that made him put him in the world forum as one of the coolest indie characters ever. Hellboy. I mean, look at him. It's just perfect. His shapes were so amazing. Look at it. Just like this guy knows how to do all the rules. He knows how to break them to make it look like that. I mean, it just blows my mind. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in. Again, I like to start with the eyes. Let's get into it. A lot of times too, you try to be confident with your lines too. Like, just go with it. And like I said, if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. He's got very linear kind of block, very graphic representation. Actually, I find.
Is there a practice or something inkers should be doing to enhance their lines while drawing?
Well, you know what? You got to learn. You have to understand line weight. You have to understand line weight, because line weight will. When I say line weight, I mean this. So I go thick and then thinner, and that creates depth.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there? And usually, ideally, the things that are more in the foreground are thicker, and things in the background are thinner. That way, it makes your objects look more like it gives it more depth for your character or your buildings. Usually, buildings are usually in the background, so those things will be a lot. The line weight will be a lot thinner, and obviously be more mechanical as opposed to like right here on this head here. You go thin, and then you go thick, and then you go thin, and then thick again. And that creates line weight. Then the little thin line here for the ear. These are all, it's all going to be filled in here. We'll go here. I'll finish the eyes actually.
Well, here is Gary, our friend here, telling the biggest appeal to me wanting to try digital is being able to work with a white brush to cut into the darks like the reverse tradition of
Absolutely.
traditional.
Absolutely. So you could totally do it. So let me just show you an example of that, Gary. So say we go here, right? You see the white there? I'll fill this in all black, right? And Todd McFarlane's notoriously known for this. I think that's why he's bringing it up, because he wants to know. I would just go in with white or with an eraser, same thing, and then I can just go whoop, 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 and look at that.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? So you can cut in, you can create depth too, you can reverse it. But again, it's one of those things where depending on the penciler and how they did it and how they want to project that, like here, I wouldn't even use it for this. I would just use actual, just like full on line weight. Like I would go here. I'll just do it now. I'll show you. Whoop, 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 whoop. A little thicker there. And now these ones here, you can see that I would just go with some lines in there like that. Try to create some more depth. Same thing in here. It's a little bit of my own little flair. Here. There too. I'd probably go like this. This I'll just probably fill in. I'm going to come back to that after. And break the lines. And the cool thing is too, I mean, with the internet now, we can collaborate with a lot of people. And Gary's a perfect example of that. He collaborates with a penciler. He collaborates with different with different colorists. And colorists, they're an amazing talent on all their own. If you find a great colorist, because it's a game changer. You know what I mean? It'll elevate your image. I mean, obviously, the fundamentals. You need to have good basic lines to begin with, and if you have a good inker to take it to the next level, then you have like a great colorist to come along. I mean, you take Jim Lee, what's his face, Williams there as inker. Is it John Williams? I always forget his name. Williams, and then you take Alex Sinclair. I mean, just look at the stuff they did on Hush, that Batman comic book. It was beautiful, and the cool thing is, it would have looked good just black and white too, or it would even look good just by itself as just a penciled comic book, and it would have been amazing. But then you add the inks to it, and then you add the colors to it, and it's just like this thing's for real, which is really exciting. And I know I've seen some of the stuff Gary's put out, and it's gorgeous. It's great work, great collaboration.
And it's always amazing when you view your work from another artist creator
absolutely
perspective.
I mean, I've had other people ask to like color my work, and I'm like, yeah, no problem, done. It's like, it's awesome. It's a collaborative effort, right? And it's fun because then they get inspired. by the piece, and they want to do something, and it's rewarding too, because okay, my work connected with somebody, even if it's one person. That's pretty awesome, man. You know, you're like halfway across the world. I mean, look at us, you and me, you and I. Actually, you're in Egypt. I'm in Canada. You know,
Yeah,
it's pretty special.
exactly.
You know what I mean? You don't get to experience that very often. You know, so
Exactly.
and that's what's really great. The community is getting so much bigger now, and there's so much room for all of us to get better and better, and it gets
So
exciting.
true. So true. And it helps with evolving our skill when you find that. I remember drawing a comic page before and gave it to an inker, and I found that my works did have some bad elements while drawing.
Well,
So I had to enhance those lines in order
yeah,
to understand and view the work from another artist's
yeah,
point of view.
absolutely, absolutely. Because it'll. I mean, some of the stuff's not forgiving, right? It's like, I mean, there's some great artists out there, and there's some mediocre ones, but sometimes you can get a really good inker and a really good colorist that'll make really bad pencils look good, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I think there, you know, I mean, if you can get away with it, then hey, great, right? But I think right now the talent pool right now, like, I mean, Marvel and DC, you know, it's like you can't even send in submissions, man. It's like they have like the best of the best people they want to make their comic books, and it's like it's so hard to get into that industry. But I mean, I think there's so many other studios out there now that are giving them a run for their money, or, you know, not even necessarily a run for their money, but, you know, they can be a part of the community, and it opens up the doors for other guys who didn't quite make the cut. It's like it's almost like, you know, if you think about like hockey or any kind of professional sports, right? There's so many players that try to make it, right? And there's great players, like amazing great players, but sometimes they just don't make the cut. There's only so many teams, there's only so many players on a team, and there's only so many teams based on the amount of talent pool, right? So what about those guys that didn't quite make the cut, but they're still like way better than the average, right? So I think that, you know, there's room for that. And how do you do that? You got to keep practicing every day, man. How badly do you want this? That sort of thing. And it applies to basically any industry. But it's also at the same time, it's also discouraging. It's like, oh man, can I really make a living doing this? Well, maybe not, right? Maybe not at first, unless you're like the chosen one. And every once in a while, there's that one guy that comes along that blows everybody away and does it. But then everyone has this fake idea, like, oh, maybe that could be me next. Maybe, but more than likely it's not. But doesn't mean your dream's still not possible. You know, you just have to work harder. And how badly do you want it, man? It's that simple. And then before you know it, you got one gig. And then before you know it, oh, someone asked me to do a cover or pinup. And you do your pinup for somebody, and someone else sees it. Hey, I want this guy to do it. And there's a lot of artists out there that don't have published work, but they get work doing pinups. They get consistent work, you know, drawing heroes for people, you know. They go to these conventions. You just go to any of those conventions. A lot of those guys don't even work for the
drawing commissions, drawing
a commission, exact commission, exactly. Yeah. You know, and they're totally good with it. And a lot of people like that. And then what's good about it too, they don't have to charge a lot. They can charge a decent amount of money and make a little bit of money doing it, and they get better and better by doing it. Okay, so now I'm going to make a decision here. Do I want to go linear, or I think I'm going to go solid here. And someone's like, no, don't go solid. Don't do it. Well, I'm going to do it. I think it was meant to be solid anyways.
How do you decide such thing?
Well, that's just it, right? That's what it comes down to. Like, I mean, let me zoom out here and let's see what this feels like. And then we can tell right away, you know? See, I think it all has to be solid, because I don't think that's the style that Mike Mignola is known for. So that's how I think those are just basic lines to fill in. Instead of like drawing all the lines in, he's filling it in, and that's why he's cutting them out, the white part, because he wants that area to be really highlighted, or the color red, and that's going to be black. And I think that's the style he's going for. So even here, I think I'm going to go all black just because I think it's going to be stronger. Everyone's like, what's he doing? He's crazy. He's crazy. I am. Look at that.
Well, Gary, character model cheats. He's talking
Exactly.
about.
There you go. Done. I'm even going to fill this in. These are the decisions we're talking about. And then we'll know in 2 seconds if I made the right choice. Even here, this is going to go all black.
Magnolia art style fits both if you are going liner with.
Yeah, I think so. Well, this is more linear, right? It's almost like geometric, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's very sharp, very tight edges. Very, very tight edges. I mean, you can see it's very blocky almost, if that makes sense. So
If
again,
you're
it's like
going to ink a piece of Hellboy, a panel maybe in daytime or nighttime, do you change the liner or the solids?
you know what? You know what?
Mhm.
I think it depends. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, if the scene is set in the day, it all comes down to how the penciler wants it. I think, or how you interpret it, right? Like here, this is the back of his hair, and then I'll go in here, up, and then there's part of his clothes, and then I'll just fill all that in again. Boop. And then we'll see what that looks like in a second. It's there. I don't like that piece there. And then all this is going to be filled in. We'll see what that looks like. But you notice, like, when I'm using very minimal tools. I would almost want to create a whole new software just based on these basic tools so anyone can do it, you know, because any software is very intimidating for anybody, I think, personally, especially if you're not used to going on software or nervous, but you have a basic program, not like Microsoft Paint or something like this, but something that where you can import brushes or create your own brushes with layers, and it's strictly for inking or drawing pencils or something like that. Because even with pencils, you can do the same thing with, you know, you can apply the same tools. Whoop. Here, like this. That's black too. I'm gonna make that decision to make it black. Whoop. And then see the line weight, and I'm going a little bit smaller, and then again, I'm going to fill all that in. But you can see how much quicker doing art like this compare to the other one. That's why I'm saving the last one for last, because that one's going to be challenging, but at the same time, you'll see the real difference. Here. I also have a pretty steady hand because I've been doing this for a while. Like I also trust my strokes, you know.
Is there a practice to make for steady hands? Just say,
Yeah,
I heard.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, let me just do another. I'll open up a new document here just really quickly. So it's like you have to go whoop. See that?
Yeah.
And just you're trusting your. That's freehand. You see what I mean? And that's because I trust my hand and my motion, right? Because some people will go like this and like that, or they go like that, right? And then you can see the difference. totally wobbly, whereas mine's a cleaner kind of thing. So that takes practice, like anything, you know. But you see the difference in these lines compared to these lines, because I went with one big stroke as opposed to.
So do you think 50 or 100 lines per day would help stable hands?
You know what? You know what? Absolutely, I think so. Or just draw the same thing every day, just as a warm up kind of thing. One of the more important things you got to do, which I didn't do just yet, and I'm going to do it right now because you have to get in the habit of doing it. See the difference already with the solid blacks?
Yeah.
Doesn't that look more like magnolia? I'm probably gonna make that all in black in there too. But one of the most important things you got to do is save your document. It's critical because power. That's one of the downfalls of digital. You could have a power surge. Your computer could crash at any time, and if it doesn't recover, sometimes it doesn't always recover your last image. That's why it's always important to save your images.
Exactly. Sometimes I would like to throw myself out of the window when this happens.
Yeah, like throw my screen out, kill everybody, and just just go freaking nuts. And okay, we're almost there. A couple lines there I want to take care of. See, the cool thing too with the horn, it's still like an organic piece.
We got another comment here.
Yeah.
From Kareem.
Hi.
Saying,
How's it going, man? What's up?
I feel nowadays our tools are way easier to have more than all time. The only thing I feel sad about that free art softwares aren't closed yet, so to what other paid one can do.
What could other paid artists do?
The paid softwares, the free art softwares are not so fancy. It doesn't have many options. Like this is
Well,
what we need.
I think there's a couple you can find that actually are pretty good. Because I know even Clip Art Studio is a fantastic program, and I think they have a special going on too, and they also have a special rate that you can lock in. I think it's like a couple $100. You know what I mean? And a couple $100. I know it sounds a little bit expensive, but like compared to because I use Photoshop. It's my business. It's my business Photoshop, so my business pays for it anyways. But if you're a student, you can use the software GIMP, which is pretty good. I think Procreate, if you're on the Apple platform, I think that's free, isn't it? Procreate, is that possible? If you have Apple, and that's a very good, strong program too. And then I think, but I think there's special deals you can get for, there's even like financing. I think for Clip Art Studio, you pay a monthly installment, and I think the same thing with Photoshop, Adobe products now. You can pay like $10 a month or something like that, and you have access to a bunch of different softwares. So depending on the level of commitment or the level of how far do you want to take it, that might, if you want to become a professional illustrator or a professional comic book artist and you want to go digital, it's worth it to make that small investment. You know what I mean? Because you're investing in yourself, and it's something you're going to use every day. Like I use this every day, right? So I can justify the use of it. And, you can see through my work, through my practice, I do it, I'm getting better and better and better, right? So that's something to consider too. But say you're a student, you're eating, you're on a limited budget, and that's fine too. But there's different softwares you can get that are free softwares that you can do to practice on and build up a portfolio. You know what I mean? They have brushes. They have, like I said, doing this, the stuff that I'm using like barely any kind of the bells and whistles of which Photoshop is offering. There's so much you can do with Photoshop, but I'm just using, I basically use 3 tools: a fill tool, an eraser, and my pen, and my layers and my undo. Like there's like under 10 features that I'm using right now. So you don't really need a whole lot to do this digitally, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, look into some free softwares. I look into Procreate. Depending on what your budget is, maybe you can afford a monthly payment of $10 or something like that. but it also depends on where you are, right? I mean, you might be, maybe you're a full-time student and you're on a very tight budget, so you can't do that. So look at, if you're on a Mac platform, maybe try, get Procreate, get some demos. I think you can get demos for free for up to 3 months on some of these. So you can get the demo, or like I know Photoshop, you can get a demo for 30 days and it's free. And you
We
get
also we got an award here with a contest for our workshop. We got 2 licenses from Clip Studio Paint EX.
oh, see right there, boom. You know what I
Just
mean?
join
Stuff
the
like
contest and do your homework, and you are a winner.
there we go.
Well, we got a question from Gary.
Get it right. So I gotta fill these. See,
When
I
you
go back
do
in.
when you do your backgrounds, is it still using the same brush, or do you use
Um,
templates?
actually, you know what? I don't use a template, but what I do, and I'll show you what I do. So what I'll do then, because when you're doing like a building, for example, it's it's linear. You can't be organic with it, because then you just lose the whole sense of reality of it, right? So what I would do, and I'll show you in 2 seconds here. I just want to touch this up, and because on my other Hulk picture, there's a bit of a background of a building, and I'll show you exactly what I do to try to emulate that and try to get better lines out of it. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think I'm just going to do this. Same thing.
Got another question.
Yep.
If you was in a really long break from art and drawing, how can you get yourself back again to the mood, level, atmosphere, etc.? I stopped drawing for almost 3 years now, but I really feel I want to get back and I don't know how to do it.
Easy, 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 easy. So if it's just regular drawing, right, and you want to get back into it, go on Pinterest, find a character that you love so much. Like, what was your favorite character? Was it Batman? Was it Spider-Man? Was it Hellboy? Find a picture, or if you want to be a penciler, or if you want to do or be an inker, okay, go find the pencils and just copy it. Just copy it. Copy it, like what you see there, and it'll all come back to you like riding a bicycle. And then you find another picture, and then copy that, and then copy that until you start getting comfortable again, until you start getting comfortable drawing your own stuff, or copy something but take part of it and then copy something else and merge the two. That'll help with your creativeness kind of thing, just copy it. Copy another picture for now, and there's nothing wrong with that because you're practicing. And I promise you, you're going to get better and better and better, and you're going to get more inspired, because when you do the first one and it actually comes out pretty decent, you're like, okay, I can get back into this. Try it, and if you when you do it, post it on the site. We would love to see it.
Awesome. Well, we got a comment from Artsy K. She was our instructor for the first
Okay.
session.
Yep.
If you can catch Clip Studio Paint on sale, you can get Pro, which has almost everything EX has, for only 25 one-time buy on computer. Artsy did show us the difference between EX and Pro versions, so she told us that EX does have animation tools that I think you
Fantastic.
don't need them.
Fantastic.
If unless you want to do some animation, you can get EX. Pro is cost lower than EX. So thanks RC for telling us this.
Excellent. That's a great. Thank you. That's some great advice right there. So look into that, guys. As soon as you're after the show, take a look, go online, and see what options are available, because you can get on this right away. There we go. I think I'm done this one. What do you guys think?
Dope. Legendary.
Excellent. All right, and this is like a quick look here. Those are the pencils. These are the inks. All right, let's move on to the last one here, guys. How are we doing for time? Okay, so to answer Gary's question right away, so we're going to do this right now, okay? So what I would do, because there's part of a building here, okay? I could use this pen if I wanted to, okay? And I'll show you right now. So, but you got to use the rulers now. So the rulers for this, you click one button. Now, depending on the line thickness, so I'm going to click here once. I'm going to hold down Shift and click here. And it gives me a straight line. See that? Click here. Click there. Straight line. Wasn't that straight though. Hold on. Click here. Boom. See that? You could go thinner if you want to, but I'm just showing you an example of what I would do. And you see how it tapers off like that? I would probably, in the future, I'd probably use a smaller one. Like I said, or I would actually probably use a different brush. I'd probably use, where is it? No, that's not it. Ah, got it wrong. Here. That's not the right one. Got the wrong brush. Hold on. Here we go. Go here, and then boom. See that? Straight. That's what I would do. Okay. Now look at this guy. Oh my gosh. But this is going to be fun. This is where we get to go into some really crazy ass textures. Let's get to it. I'm going to zoom in. Again, you see the limited tools that I'm using. I'm using very little tools. So that's one of the things. Once you know, this is all you need to really know for certain programs, it might relieve some of the stress, because you're looking at all these buttons here like, oh my God, what are these for? You don't really need to know any of these. I use the rotation one, the zoom, and this one, and that one, and that one. And maybe I'll use a selection tool or whatever. And then I use over here, I got layers, you know? Because a lot of times too, I'll do layers of just all the foreground stuff with the main characters, and then I'll do a separate layer just for the backgrounds. All right, here we go. I gotta get back to my old, so you have to go back to my old pen. There it is. Usually it's 16. I can go bigger if I want. Make sure, see it's too high. I gotta go here. Now it's ready to go. Okay. Line weight. Let me go here. Weight. There we go. I'll fill it in a second. Usually when I fill it in, there's a couple ways you can do it, but I'm just doing it the fast way. Usually there's a little halo or light that doesn't, for some reason, doesn't grab it. Okay, go here. Some more line weight. And then
Here we got another question.
shoot.
What do you think about people who think using reference is cheating? And also, what is
It's not
what is
cheating.
a better way to learn human anatomy?
Okay, so you're not cheating if you're using reference. We were actually in illustration school. We were taught to use reference all the time. Use reference, and if you couldn't find reference, we used to take old school. We'd have a part of our curriculum in school was to use to take photography, and they actually gave us a number of photography classes where it wasn't. This was before digital. We actually had to go in a dark room and process our own pictures and use and vary their own. Now you can do it all in Photoshop or do it in photo programs, but you could take your own reference and they taught us about how to use light sources, and we'd use our own reference for our projects. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not cheating. It's getting the job done. Like, would you rather spend, 3 hours trying to get something perfect out of your head, which you're probably not going to get out of your head anyways, unless you're like Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci. Even the top artists use reference. They have like those posable dolls kind of thing, or even they use the action figures that you can buy are so well done, but you still have to understand, even though you have reference, you can't just copy it. You have to understand human anatomy. And one of the things they taught us in school was going to still life classes where models would come in, they're nude, or sometimes they were clothed, and they come in and they would do speed poses where you have to like just get the form and stuff like that. Just try to draw the form. And then there's other ones where part of the posing technique was there was fast, like 5-minute drawings, and then they would do 15-minute ones, and then they would do 30-minute ones. And the longer you get, the more detailed you get, but you'd be from different angles, right? So, they could sit one place or do another place, but you're understanding the anatomy and how light hits the body. And one of the things which I thought was really interesting was when we were doing these exercises, one of our teachers wore glasses, and he said to get the best way to pick out the shapes for the light and dark, he would take off his glasses because his eyes were so blurry. So if you actually squint your eyes, you don't look at it as the arm, you just look at the dark area and the white area kind of thing, if that makes sense. So it basically, it all comes down to shapes, but you also have to study human anatomy. And like I said, there's so many references you can refer to. I mean, there's 3D programs now where you can download for free, I think on Steam, or I think it's like $8 or $10. Or there's a lot of different programs where you can have like there's references you can get for like people holding guns, action scenes, and they have dynamic lighting. And there's nothing wrong with using those for reference, but you still have to know how to draw. So if you're going to break any rules or anything like that, if you're doing a cover, I mean, even some of the top art, I mean, you guys like Jim Lee can draw it out of his head because he's drawn those things numerous of times. Like he understands biomechanics. He understands how the body moves and everything. He knows if this muscle pulls up, he knows this bicep's going to come like this. If he puts the arm down like that, he knows the tricep is going to come out. And I think one of a great reference is bodybuilding magazines, because the muscles are so defined, right? And you can get a really, really, really understanding of anatomy while looking at bodybuilders. You know what I mean? You don't have to go as big, but you can use them as reference, and you can see how the muscles work, because that's how usually they're drawn in superheroes, right? So yeah, I don't think using reference is cheating. I think again it's a means to an end, because I mean, some people are like, oh, you got to be purist, blah 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 blah, but no, man, it's all about, I mean, unless you're expert enough or you have enough experience where you can draw out of your head these positions, which very few of us can, but some of you can, and if you can't, that's okay. That's what reference is for, and you can create your own scenes with that. And there's a difference between using reference and copying something. Like if I open up a comic book and I steal one of Jim Lee's panels, that's copying, right? That's like basically stealing that. I mean, there's only so many poses out there you could do, but at the same time, there's a lot of things you can do that are slightly different. So definitely, if you're trying to learn, you're trying to get better, there's nothing wrong with copying other artists right now to get better, to learn, to understand. And if you do it enough times, you're going to start to understand when you make a growl on your face, that you're going to get wrinkles between your eyes and you get lines around your nose. You know what I mean? There's things like that you're going to start to understand. The same thing with, if you have a standard pose, if you stand one way, you have your arm back a bit, you're going to understand how that looks. So it just comes down to more practice and studying. And that's the only way you're going to get better, is just keep doing it every day. Does that answer the question?
That's cool. You say the very important thing: draw from a reference and don't draw from your head, because sometimes and many times you are drawing something wrong.
Yeah, well, unless you understand human anatomy and you can draw it, you'll know right away.
Exactly.
Like in school, right? You could tell which people for final projects, which people use reference and which people didn't use reference. And the people that use reference, their pictures, their images, their projects were much stronger. There's no shame in it, because you, especially in the comic world, you have a tight deadline, man. Or even say you become an illustrator, you might have like 24 hours, or not even like 24 hours to finish an illustration. You don't have time to be messing around trying to draw this thing out of your head. You know what I mean? There's very few people can do that, and it all comes down to time. And it's not, it's totally fine to use reference. It's definitely not cheating. No one's going to reprimand you for it.
We got another one from Russia.
Sure.
I'm inking my new episode of my webtoon manga.
Great.
Watching you now,
cool.
And I'm really amazing on your steps and instructions, and there is a big difference now.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's awesome, man. My work is done. That's fantastic. Thank
There's
you.
another one from my wife Sarah,
Okay. Hey,
asking
Sarah.
you, could you please give us advice for inking the hair, struggling with the hair?
Okay, I'll do that right next. So hair is the funnest thing to do, I find. I get a kick out of it because I find it very relaxing. Give me 1 second and I'll hit the hair up in a second here and I'll show you what I do for the hair. Because the hair is very forgiving. But I want to finish this eye first. And then right there. Here. Finish this eye. Okay. Hair. We'll do the hog's hair. It's a bowl cut. All right. So the hair is very forgiving. So we just start off with just some curves. Just follow the hairline basically, right? And it's okay if it goes off a little bit. We got some here, we got some there, and then go up, go down, up, down, up, down. Let me go here, up. Go here now. Basically, we fill it in. Let's do this. Now you see what's happening here. I'm getting these lines here, but I'm going to come back in a minute and I'm going to fill those parts in and just kind of follow they'll be filled in. And then what Gary was saying before, we'll cut in with some white and that will kind of build like the sheen here, like the kind of like the, like this. There we go. This will be all black. And I'll come back in after and I'll do the same thing. I mean, it's easy too because the hog's hair is black, but this will work. This will apply to any kind of hairstyle basically. So let me go here. Fill in those kind of. Here we go. See what that looks like.
Well, we got another cue.
Shoot.
I always feel using poses from different artists aren't feeling. I mean, poses can't be owned, right?
You know what? No, you can't. You can't own a pose. I don't think you can own a pose. I mean, you can copy something. If you're doing it for practice, I think you should always reference the penciler or the reference the idea. Don't claim it as your own, but you can copy a pose but do it in your style. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like it's a very fun. It's a tricky line, but I think if you're I mean, there's actually websites where you can see where people have made compilation lists of people of other artists, known artists, swipe other artists' panels and artworks and stuff like that, and they show you the difference. Like they'll say this artist took this panel from this artist, thinking no one would notice. You know what I mean? But no one owns a pose. I mean, you could do the standard, like, you know, the superhero pose kind of thing where they stand up straight and their chest high and they're looking off at the distance. No one owns that pose. I mean, there's only so many you can do, right? But I mean, if you're copying the person's style, exactly verbatim, I mean, well, that's something else. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right. Let's see.
Wow, Sam, you made the hair look so easy to ink.
Well, that's it. It's just basically following the strokes, right? And then you kind of fill it in afterwards. And we'll take a look at it in a minute and see what that looks like, and then I'll go in and clean it up after. See here, like it's like now if Gary's still watching, he'll see what I mean in a second here. So now I would go here. Then I would take my eraser or a white. I change it to white if you wanted to, but I prefer the eraser. I erased everything. Hold on. I'd go here, and then I would just go. Just a little bit of highlights, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just to create that kind of depth. Same thing in here, you know. And we'll zoom out and we'll see what that looks like. Pretty cool, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Boom. See, I got to fill in some of the areas here because you don't see that. But I'll go back to my black. There we go. That feels better. How does that look, Sarah? Look at that. Cool. Almost there. All right. Let's get back to it. This guy looks pissed. He's the Hulk.
Another Q asking about the hair.
Yes.
Hair is also one of my weaknesses to draw, not about the style,
Okay.
but it's about how to fit the skull head. It's all about the volumes and stuff. I watched tons of tutorials online, but I feel that's still not working well for me.
Okay. And you're inking with a digital or traditional?
I think he's using a digital.
Digital, eh? So you could play around, maybe try a different pen, a different pen style, you know? Because like, let me go back to another page here, new, and we go here, and then we have, so we have hair. To start with streaks like that. Like that. And then we can fill all that in. Like that. Hold on.
Sarah is saying, wow, thank you.
Awesome, my pleasure. Fill all that in. So now we got like a base for like a hair kind of thing. So now what you could do, and I'll show you. Start off with like maybe a kind of fill it in like that. And remember, hair is very organic, so it's like there's not like a, you can't really, if you just go with it, like I'm just like freestyling it right now, but, and I'll show you what I'm going to do after. See the hair there? Looks kind of hairish, no? So then we go like this. You know, think of it like this, and then okay, just to give you an idea, but you can see what I'm doing. So now, and this is like side hair. Then you go with white, and then you just go whoop, 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 and then whoop, 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 whoop. Now I'm cutting in the white, and then you can go up here. You see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
There, instant hair. And you can just play with it like that. That looks kind of shitty. But you know what I mean, though.
It's awesome, Tim.
Anyways, you get the point. Hope that helps. Okay. So next, go back here. I'm going to finish off the face now. Okay, so we're going to go here. Let's get it all here. So here it's kind of like a small, it's like a light texture. So I don't want to go thick with the lines here. It's like someone's playing a video game. What's going on?
Someone's riding a motorbike late at the night.
There we go. This. The ear in. Huh? There we go. Texture there. And one of the thing is too is like you know, everyone has a style that they like or an artist that they like, and most of them, a lot of them will have a lot of tutorials, or they'll see them drawing you know, online, or they'll have their own YouTube channel. Watch it. Watch as much as you can, man. Like, study it, you know, see how these guys are doing, and they're sharing their techniques, and these guys have been doing it for a long time. So you might even pick up one or two little things, but whatever you can do is just, you basically want to keep learning, right? And going and getting to art school is not a bad thing. You know, if you have the time, do it, because you know you're just gonna learn. Some people are just more talented than others, but it doesn't mean they're better than the other person. You know, it's like some runners are better than other runners, even though they still train for it. It doesn't matter. There's still a lot of good runners out there. And it's the same thing that can be said about, you know, about drawing. There's always going to be someone better than you, and that's okay. But you got to give yourself a fighting chance. If that means you got to go to school for 2 years, or even take a night class in like life drawing, anything that's going to help you get better as an artist is a win, you know, and it's a new experience. So because someone asked me once, do I even need to go to art school? I go, listen, they're not going to ask you for an art degree. They might ask you that if you're a graphic designer, if you have like a background in digital media kind of thing, which is fine. But when you go to an interview for like a project, they're basically looking at your portfolio. Your portfolio is going to speak for you. So they're not going to care if you went to school for 10 years or your MA or you have your master's degree or whatever. They're going to look at your portfolio. And your portfolio is going to basically tell them if they want to work with you or not. And that's that's the same thing for drawing comics. They don't care if you have an art background. You could have a double PhD, but if your portfolio sucks and it's not to their standards, doesn't matter how many degrees you have. So that's what it comes down to on one way of looking at it. But going to school, I went to art school. It helped me tremendously understanding different mediums, understanding anatomy. It helped me. It helped me be a better illustrator, better artist, better graphic designer. So there's a lot of benefits to it. And again,
So
there's even online courses you can take like Udemy where they have specials.
I was just about to say this. There is art schools, online art schools.
There's online art schools now. There's all kinds of stuff like Udemy. They have cheap programs where they have all these different teachers online, and they'll teach you. Say if you want to learn a software, they'll show you how to do it. Like what you'll teach yourself going through tutorials online, it might take you about a month to figure stuff out, but they might be able to show you. They might cut that month into a week or 2 weeks. So what's your time worth to you? You know what I mean? So, and especially if you want to make a career out of it, how do you want to keep doing it? And what's your time worth to you? That's how you have to kind of understand. Okay. Like as you can see, as I'm zooming in, you can see how washed out the image is because I took a small picture off the internet, and I'm basically usually stuff on the internet 72 DPI. The DPI stands for dot per inch, and that's not very good for printing. It's okay for online stuff, but I don't have the original files for this, so I had to go online, find something, and then blow it up to 400 DPI, which gives you that washed out look. Now, if I were to print that out, not the inks, just the pencils, it'll print out blurry. But because I made it 400 DPI, so it's 400 dot per inch, I'm going to get a nice, clean, crisp print, and that's what you want.
Doesn't your eyes hurt you from all this blurriness from
well,
the low resolution?
I am wearing glasses now, and that helps. But it's like I only started wearing glasses like 2 months ago, and because you're close up like this, I only need it for computers. I can wear them. I don't even need them to read. I just need them for this because it helps your eyes don't strain as much. But it's funny because when you're looking at it, it's like, what the hell am I drawing? That's what it becomes. Now it just becomes, I'm not looking at the Hulk. I'm looking at the shapes, and I'm interpreting the shapes. That's how I'm interpreting everything right now. So I'm going to make this like that. There we go. It's going to be like that. Almost there. Okay, we're almost there. We're going to do this. Okay. Let's see what this looks like, folks. Whoa, look at that. Pretty legit.
Awesome. Wow.
Almost done. See, that's without the white. That's just the background. Okay, so it's almost done. Let's go up here. See, there's a little bit of a line weight here. There too. Same thing here. I'll probably darken all that. Create some texture. Same thing here. And go here. Cool. Here. Oops. Moved it. There we go here. Go. Fill this in. Like I said, the more you do it, the more you're going to get confident with your lines, and the faster you're going to be. Because really, this is the industry where efficiency is so critical. Because a deadline's a deadline, man. And when you get into the real world, man, there's no second chances. You're only as good as your last job. That's what they all say.
Well, Tom DeFalco did say it a couple of weeks ago. If you can sit and work for about 6 or 7, 8 hours a day or more to make comic books, or
You're in the wrong. You're on the wrong business. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to really love it. And I love it. I love comic books, man, so much. I grew up with them. That's how I got my start in my art career, because I drew comics when I was a kid. I collected them. And with all these new movies and TV shows, I feel like I'm reliving my childhood again. It's like I never grew up. It's awesome. Okay, let's go here. Let me see. I'm going to tackle this part here. There we go. Same thing with here. So, no, I don't like that. Erase it. Start over. It's okay like that. I can live with that. Yeah, and these are Jose Luis. Yeah, Jose Luis is pencils. I ink a lot of his stuff just because I learned so much from his stuff, because his drawings are like the anatomy in his drawings are so flawless, and his shadowing is mind blowing. The way he captures everything and the way he can draw action, you can learn so much just from inking his work. And just because his stuff is fully detailed, and then doing something after that is like a breeze. It makes your life like, oh my god, you know. Well, you can see like the difference of the kind of work I did between all the different styles, right?
Exactly.
Like from your style to Mike Mignola's style. Now you see his stuff, and it's just like, I don't know if I'm going to draw the building. Hold on, I'm not sure yet. Hold on a second. You could probably do it. Hold on, let's see if I can. Right now, I'm just going straight hand because the original drawing is that of ruins, so I can get away with a lot here. But normally, for like actual structures and buildings, I would go in with a ruler. But right now, I was just focusing more on the faces and stuff. Go. It's looking good. Here, I'll just improvise. I think we're done.
Well, it's awesome.
There we go. Did I forget?
Stunning work.
There we go, guys. That's it. I hope you found this you find this informative. I hope you learned a few things. Leave your comments behind. If you have questions, feel free to ask questions. I'm one of the special members on the site, so I'm happy to help.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm happy to help out wherever I can. And
Goernert was one of the first ones that helped me establish this group. So
yeah, man, I remember. That was fun. So yeah, there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Andrew, for having me. And we'll see you again soon. We'll probably do some more of these in the future. I'm pretty confident we will. What do you think there, Andrew?
Well, actually, it looks amazing. We learned so much from you. We're truly honored to have you here with us today.
Yeah. So what I can
learn from the simple lines and how to slick lines, how to fix hair and vice.
How to interpret different things.
I think we got every little bit about inking stuff covered for today.
Great. Excellent. Yeah. So if you want, I'll what I'll do is I'll save this picture and I'll post it on the site so people can take a look at it if you want.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, feel free to do so. Yeah.
Excellent. So, well, thanks so much, guys. Have a great night and enjoy the rest of the show. Okay.
Well, many thanks to you again, Tim.
My pleasure. Are we still on? There we go.
Yeah, we're still on. So many thanks, guys. We stay tuned for tomorrow's workshop. As we'll be having David, my brother, as design characters through silhouettes, and mangaka creator Zelden with Dave GM to be talking about world building and character development. Stay tuned with us, and goodbye.
Take it. Have a good night, guys. Take care.